pleasant afternoon to everyone. So this is the group 4 and we will tackle about the Rizal's life, higher education and life abroad. And this chapter deals with Jose Rizal's life in higher education and his struggle and challenges in life abroad. Dr. Jose Rizal was not only busy academically, but he spent much of his time in self-improvement through self-education. In the topic 1, we will tackle about the universities that Jose Rizal was entered. So first is Jose Rizal is a student at the Ateneo, year 1872 to 1877. Jose Rizal was sent to Manila 4 months after the martyrdom of Gomborza, and Doña Tudora was still in prison. So he studied in the Ateneo Municipal. It is a college under the supervision of Spanish Jesuits. It is the Ateneo Municipal is a better rival of the Dominican-owned College of San Juan de Letran, formerly the Escuela Pea or Charity School. For poor boys in Manila, it is established in 1817. In the year 1859, the name was changed to Ateneo Municipal by the Jesuits and later on became the Ateneo de Manila. Rizal enters Ateneo. In June 10, 1872, Jose, accompanied by a Paciano, went to Manila to take the entrance examinations on Christian doctrine, arithmetic, and reading at the College of San Juan de Letran, and passed them all. But his father was the first one who wished him to study at Letran, but he changed his mind and decided to send Jose at Ateneo instead. Father Marjan Fernando, college registrar of Ateneo Municipal, refused to admit Jose because first, he was late for registration, and second, he was sickly and undersized for his age. He was 11 years old at this time. So upon the intercession of Manuel Ceres Borges, he is a nephew of Father Borges, he was admitted to Ateneo. Jose adopted the surname Rizal at the Ateneo because their family name, Mercado, had come under suspicion of the Spanish authorities. Ateneo was located in Intramuros within the walls of Manila, and he boarded in a house on Caraballo Street, a 25-minute walk from the college. And the boarding house was owned by Titay, who owned Rizal family 300 pesos. Jose boarded there to collect part of the debt. Since we tackle about Joseph's kinds of school, we will tackle about their system. Joseph's system of education. So Joseph trained the character of the student by rigid discipline, humanities and religious instruction. They heard mass early in the morning before the beginning of daily class. So classes were open and closed with prayers. So the students were divided into 2 groups. The first group is the Roman Empire. It is consisting of the internos or the boarders with the red banners, while the second group is Carthaginian Empire. It is composed of the externos or the non-boarders with the blue banners. Each of these empires had its rank. In the first first year in Ateneo, in 1872 to 1873, Rizal first professor in Ateneo was Father Jose Bech. Rizal was placed at the bottom of the class since he was a newcomer and knows little Spanish. He was an external Carthaginian, so he occupying the end of the line, but at the end of the month, he becomes emperor of his empire. He was the brightest pupil in the whole class, and he was awarded a prize, a religious prize. So Rizal took private lessons in Santa Isabel College during non-recesses to improve his Spanish language, paying 3 pesos for those extra lessons. And at the end, he placed second at the end of the year, although all of his grades were still marked excellent. In third year in Ateneo, year 1875 to 76, it was June 16, so he became an interno in Ateneo. Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez, he is one of the professors, inspired him to study harder and write poetry. Rizal's best professor in Ateneo was Father Francisco de Paula Sanchez, and Rizal described him as a model of uprightness, earnestness, and love for the advancement of his pupils. He returned to Calamba with 5 medals and excellent ratings. In the fourth year in Ateneo, it was March 23, 1877. Rizal was 16 years old at this time. He received from his alma mater, Ateneo Municipal, the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the highest honors. Rizal was the highest in all subjects and won 5 medals at the end of the school term. He excelled in all his subjects and was the most brilliant Atenean. He was truly the pride of the Jesuits. Alright, so well done on the School of Ateneo. Let's go to the topic 2, the University of Santo Tomas. Jose Rizal entered the University of Santo Tomas year 1877 to 1882. Rizal took the course of philosophy and letters. 2 reasons why Rizal enrolled in this course is first, his father liked it, and the second, he was still uncertain as what career to pursue. It was the following term. So, Rizal took up the medical course with the 2 reasons. First, he received advice of Father Pablo Ramon at the Ateneo's rector to study medicine and to be able to cure his mother's growing blindness. And he excelled in all subjects in the surveying course in Ateneo. And he obtained gold medals in agriculture and topography. While in finishing his survey course in Ateneo in 1877-1878, Rizal took the vocational course leading to the title of Perito Agrimensor, or expert surveyor. And he passed the final examination in the surveying course on November 25, 1881. He remained loyal to Ateneo at this time. So, Rizal is the champion of the Filipino students. He was called as the champion year 1880. Since Rizal founded a secret society of Filipino students, and he became the chief of the secret students' society. During those days when Rizal in the UST, he was unhappy. Rizal found the atmosphere at the University of Santo Tomas suffocating to his sensitive spirit. He was unhappy at this Dominican institution of higher learning because, first, the Dominican professors were hostile to him. Second, the Filipino students were racially discriminated by the Spaniards. And third, the method of instruction was obsolete and repressive. Obsolete means out of date, while the repressive is restraining or intended to keep someone under control.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the continuation of Rhea's report, and I am Joevy Caminade. So, in topic 3 and 4, I'm going to share to you Jose Rizal life in abroad. So, in Spain, 1882 to year 1885, after finishing the fourth year the medical course in the University of Santo Tomas, Rizal decided to complete his studies in Spain. So, Jose Rizal have a secret mission in Spain. It is to observe keenly the life and culture, languages and costumes, industries and commerce, and governments and laws of the European nations, in order to prepare himself in the mighty task of liberating his oppressed people from Spanish tyranny. In May 3, year 1882, Rizal departed on board the Spanish steamer Salvadora bound for Singapore. Rizal's departure for Spain was kept secret to avoid detection by the Spanish authorities and the friars. In June 16, year 1882, Rizal finally reached his destination, Barcelona. So, in November 3, 1882, Rizal enrolled in Universidad Central de Madrid in 2 courses, medicine and philosophy and letters. Rizal led a Spartan life in Madrid. He also studied in painting and sculpture in the Academy of Fine Arts and took lessons in French, German, and English. Shortly after his arrival, Rizal joined the Círculo Hispano-Filipino, Hispano-Philippine Circle, a society of Spaniards and Filipinos. They asked me for verses. May Pedena Versus, a poem written by Rizal in response to the request of the members of the society. It is a sad poem in which Rizal poured out the cry of his agonizing heart. Rizal as a Mason, March 1883. Rizal joined the Masonic Lodge Acacia in Madrid under his Masonic name Di Masala. Rizal's reasons for becoming a Mason. 1. The bad friars in the Philippines, by their abuses unworthy of their priestly habit or calling, drove Rizal to desperation and Mansory. 2. He needed the help of the Masons to fight the bad friars in the Philippines. For Mansory, to Rizal was a shield to use in his fight against the evil forces of tyranny. In June 17, year 1883, Rizal sojourned in Paris. He stayed at a cheaper hotel on 124 Rue de Renis in the Latin Quarter. Like all tourists, Rizal was attracted by the beautiful sights of Paris. He visited important landmarks like the Place de la Concorde, Arc of Triomphe, the Cathedral of Notre Dame, and others. Rizal improved his mind by observing closely the French way of life. He spent his hours in museums, botanical garden, and art galleries. According to Rizal, Paris is the costliest capital in Europe. Prices of food, drinks, theater, laundry, hotels, and transportations were too high. So, in August 20, year 1883, Jose Rizal returned to Madrid and continues with his studies. Studies completed in Spain. June 21, year 1884, conferred the degree of licentiate in medicine. He was not awarded his doctor's diploma due to the fact that he did not present the thesis required for graduation nor pay the corresponding fees. So in topic 4, continued to stay in Europe, year 1885 to year 1887. Rizal went to Paris and Germany in order to specialize in ophthalmology. He traveled and observed European life and costumes in Paris, Heidelberg, Leipzig, and Berlin. In Paris, year 1885 to year 1886, he was 24 years old and already a physician. He went to Paris to obtain knowledge in ophthalmology. In November, year 1885, he worked for 4 months as an assistant to Dr. Louis de Weckert, a leading French ophthalmologist. Outside of his working hours, he also found time to relax and be with his good friends like the Pardo de Taveras, Juan Luna, and Felix Restoration Hidalgo. At the studio of Juan Luna, he improved his painting technique. He became a model to Juan Luna's several paintings. In the home of the Pardo de Tavera, Rizal played the flute. He admitted that he had no natural aptitude for music. In Heidelberg, February year 1886, Rizal left Paris and went to Germany. He arrived in Heidelberg, a historic city in Germany famous for its old university and romantic surroundings. Jose Rizal lived near the University of Heidelberg and worked as an assistant to Dr. Otto Becker at the University Eye Hospital. Outside his apprenticing hours, he also listened to lectures delivered by Dr. Becker and Prof. Wilhelm Konechny. Rizal devoted his free time visiting Heidelberg Castle, Nectar River and Theater, and some old churches found in the city. The Nectar River and the beautiful spring flowers blooming along its banks reminded him of how dearly he missed Calamba. In Leipzig, August year 1886, Rizal arrived in Leipzig. He stayed here for 2 months doing a lot of writing and translating. He very much liked what he saw. The magnificent buildings, wide and clean streets, and amiable people. William Tell, written by Schiller, Rizal translated it from German into Tagalog so that Filipino might know the story of the champion of Swiss independence. Hans Andersen's fairy tales, Rizal also translated this in Tagalog for his nephews and nieces. Because of his knowledge of German, Spanish, and other European languages, Rizal worked as proofreader in a publishing firm. He attended some lectures on histories and psychology at the University of Leipzig and met Professor Friedrich Ratzel, a famous German historian, and Dr. Hans Meyer, German anthropologist. They had become his friends. In Berlin, November year 1886, Rizal arrived in Berlin. He was enchanted by the city because of its scientific atmosphere and the absence of racial prejudice. Noleme Tangere, published in Berlin in year 1887. March 21, year 1887, the Noleme Tangere came off the press. The title Noleme Tangere is a Latin phrase which means touch me not. Noleme Tangere are words taken from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 20, verses 13 to 17. Rizal dictated his Noleme Tangere to the Philippines, to my fatherland. It contains 63 chapters and an epilogue. Maximo Viola, the savior of Nole, he gave him the needed funds to publish the novel. Grand tour from Germany to Italy. May 11, year 1887, Rizal and Viola left Berlin by train, going to Dresden, one of the best cities in Germany. May 13 to 16, year 1887, Rizal and Viola went to Leitmeritz, Bohemia, to visit Professor Blumentritt, a kind-hearted all-Austrian professor who became a dear friend of Rizal. With Prof. Blumentritt as their guide, Rizal and Viola visited the churches, the residence of the bishop, and other important buildings of the city. From May 20 to 30, year 1887, they visited other cities in Europe like Prague, Vienna, the Queen of Danube, Linz, Renfall, Munich, and Nuremberg. They visited museums, magnificent buildings, cathedrals, and sites. So that's all for the topic 3 and 4 about Rizal's life in abroad.
First return to the Philippines, 1887 to 1888. Travel to the Philippines. The stunning beauty of the European lands did not stop Rizal from continuously adoring his native land. After No Limitangere was published, he decided to return to the Colombo despite the many warnings he received from friends and relatives alike. July 3, 1887, Rizal left Marseilles. It was his first return to the Philippines after leaving it to study in Spain 5 years ago. August 6, 1887, he arrived in Manila and visited some friends. Travels in Asia, Hong Kong, Macau, and Japan, and the U.S. first trip to Hong Kong and Macau. On February 3, 1888, with a heavy heart, Rizal left Manila for Hong Kong. His powerful enemies refused to give him peace and quiet. Anonymous letters with threats on his life were sent to his parents' house. On February 8, 1888, Rizal arrived in Hong Kong and he was welcomed by Filipino residents. Jose Sainz de Veranda, Terrero's former secretary, followed Rizal in the said British colony, and was believed to be commissioned by the Spanish authorities to spy on the hero. While in Hong Kong, Rizal engaged in cultural activities. On February 18 to 21, 1888, Rizal also visited Macau, a Portuguese colony near Hong Kong. He was invited to stay at the residence of Don Juan Francisco Lecaros, who was a former Filipino delegate to the Spanish Cortes. For 2 days, Rizal enjoyed being a tourist and visited different cultural places, which included churches, botanical gardens, theaters, and the Macau Casino.